everyone. Welcome to the Zone to Speak podcast. I'm your host, Juliana. Hey everyone. At Zone to Speak, I know how important it is to stay healthy, strong, and ready for every ride, workout, and adventure. That's why I'm sharing some amazing discounts on products I personally love, designed to support your health, performance, and overall well-being, whether you are an athlete or just looking to feel your best. Psych Plus, their smart pump is a game changer. Compact, efficient, and perfect for keeping your tires road and gravel ready. It's ideal for travel too. You can take it on trips and skip the CO2 canisters. You can even change your tire pressure on the go when switching between surfaces like road and gravel. Get 10% off the smart pump and 5% off everything else. 15% off New Zest. Fuel your body with clean, plant-based nutrition. Their clean, lean protein provides a high-quality, easily digestible protein source with no additional additives, perfect for recovery and sustained energy. Plus, their Good Green Vitality is packed with essential vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants to support your immune system and overall wellness. 15% off Oleos. Oleos offers powerful wellness shots made with adaptogens, nootropics, and functional nutrients to support performance, focus, and recovery. I'll be using Oleos daily in the lead up to my next race, and I have already got my pre- and post-ride shots ready for my long weekend rides. If you are looking for a clean, effective boost, Oleos is it. Use code ZONE2SPEAK15 to save 15%. 20% off First Endurance. Top-tier endurance nutrition designed to support hydration, recovery, and sustained energy for long days on the bike and any endurance activity. 15% off Frey Skincare, made for active lifestyles. Designed for skin that sweats, their all-natural, vegan, and cruelty-free products keep your skin protected and fresh. I have been using Frey for about 10 years, and my skin stays young and has never had a breakout since. 10% off Cold Aid, high-quality supplements to support your health, from multivitamins to probiotics, collagen, and more. I personally take the women's fermented multivitamin and creatine, and I genuinely feel great with them. No nausea, just steady energy and support for recovery and daily health. 10% off Clearly Not Coffee, a delicious coffee alternative from functional ingredients like mushrooms, cocoa, maca, cinnamon, and rhodiola, designed to give you calmer energy, sharper focus, and immune support. Honestly, I can't live without it anymore. It's been such a boost for my energy levels and has helped me navigate perimenopause with more balance and ease. 15% off Ombre Supplements, premium supplement to support your training, recovery, and everyday health. And there's something special from me, your host. As a certified integrative health and nutrition expert and holistic life coach, I'm offering 25% off personalized nutrition and life coaching with Genki Wellness. If you want to optimize your health, improve your energy, and feel your best, head to bemoregenki.com. For all discounts, check out the episode description, use code ZONE2SPEAK at checkout, and let this incredible product support your health and performance. Now, let's get into the episode. So happy to see you, Tom. Thank you so much for making the time to be on the podcast. You look amazing. I think I last saw you in 2018. And like I said, you haven't aged a day.
Well, thank you. But you look terrific too, by the way.
Well, thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
15.
Sorry, say that again. Yeah, 2018. Ironman 70.3 World Championship, where we met in Port Elizabeth. And you, after that, went on to other world championships, right?
Just one other.
Just another world championship. No big deal.
Well, it's maybe right now I'll explain those things. Can I explain?
So welcome to Zone to Speak. In this inspiring episode, I'm thrilled to sit down with Thomas Edward, a 78-year-old endurance athlete and multiple 70.3 Ironman finisher and world championship finisher, who is redefining what it means to age gracefully and athletically. From conquering grueling triathlons to embracing the challenges of training and recovery, Tom shares his remarkable journey of perseverance, discipline, and passion for pushing boundaries. I will dive into what drives him, how he trains and adapts to his body's needs, and the lessons he has learned about resilience, longevity, and living life with purpose. Whether you are an inspiring triathlete, an endurance enthusiast, or just looking for a dose of inspiration, this conversation will remind you that age is truly just a number. So let's get started. Tom, welcome to Zone to Speak.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Juliana.
So tell me, how can you share your athletic background? Were you always active, or did you develop this passion later in life?
Well, as I started swimming competitively in high school,
Wow.
and that's the only competitive. It was a team, but it's not a team sport. But so that's the only competition. Then there were years of doing nothing, but always swimming. Whenever I had a chance, I would swim. So swimming was my main athletic pursuit. Both for I found out later it wasn't just physical; it was definitely mental. Because when I would swim at times of stress, it would de-stress me. Every time I swim, I feel better when I get out. So I'm a swimmer. Okay, then I did run one marathon, but didn't train well. This was in 86. So I guess I was 40. That was a way of celebrating the 40th birthday.
What a great way to celebrate.
And this was a New York Marathon. It was just
Wow, a classic. And you have to, I don't know if in the 80s how it was, but these days you either qualify or there's a lottery.
There was nothing at the time. I don't know when. I don't know when they started, but it wasn't that long after it been starting. Uh, but I didn't train. I trained from a book. I found out at the end I didn't train well and didn't understand hydration or feeding myself. And I spent the next day at bed.
Wow. Wow.
So I wasn't ready. I heard.
But you finished.
Oh yeah, finished.
It was just a tough recovery. And so you do have some athletic background. You started swimming at school. How did you become interested and started triathlons?
I was living in Ecuador at the time. We had moved there in 91. And this was maybe about 95 or so. I don't remember exactly. And I was talking to my sister. She was never much of an athlete, also a swimmer and running. And then she tried one triathlon and she just said, "You should do it." And I go, "Well, I guess I'd started running again in Ecuador gently. And so all was missing was the bike. So I got a quick antidote. I borrowed a bike. It was a mountain bike.
Wow.
I changed the tires to slick tires. And they did this race. It's the first and only time they ever did it in the city of Quito, the capital of Ecuador.
Okay.
And they drained this sort of pond where they had paddle boats. And it was very cold. Quito's at 2,800 meters, so it's always cold.
Yeah, it's altitude training as well, right? I mean, it's pretty high. Yeah.
You train for altitude sleeping there. But
Yeah.
anytime you go up, and it's very hilly, so you're almost always training. Anyway, I finished, and I liked it. I enjoyed the 3 different disciplines.
I'm just imagining you with a mountain bike with skinny tires. What a warrior.
It was the thing was a mess too, because they didn't control the but the distances on the bike. And so it was not a good event, but it got me interested. And so then I started, uh, I would go to races, short ones, either the sprints. I did every time we go to the States, I'd rent a bike somewhere and started doing sprints. So I did maybe, I don't know, 8 or 10 sprints to different parts of the country, wherever we were vacationing with my wife and son, and just kept liking it. So I finally bought a bike, my own bike, and started training. And then in 2017, this was the year before South Africa, a brother-in-law and I started sort of talking with each other, giving each other a hard time, and anywhere somewhere between cajoling and joking and encouraging. And we go, all right, let's do a 70.3. And it was even more challenging for him because it was in Ecuador. And it was the first one they had ever done, first or second that they'd ever done in Ecuador.
Wow. So you did your first half Ironman distance in your 70s.
I was, let's see, 70. Yeah, I was 70.
Incredible. Incredible.
Then I'll tell you the one thing. There's how did I get to the World Championship? At my age, I mean, I think anybody listening probably already knows this. You know, it's only in the categories where there are a lot of competitors that more than one person can go to the qualify for the World Championship. Well, I was the only one in my age group.
But you still got to be in it to win it. Doesn't matter.
Yep. And so I did finish under the time, and they go, you have to decide in that moment. That's kind of challenging also.
Yeah. So just for the listeners that don't know, because in cycling is a little bit different. In the Ironman brand, when you race, if you're not elite, you race your age group. And each age group, it starts, I think, at 18. You need to be 18 to compete. And then it's every 5 years, it's a different age group. And then for the World Championship, whoever is first in the podium qualifies for the World Championship. That token can roll down in case the first place doesn't want to go to the World Championship or already qualified at another event. And you do have to decide right then and there because you have to pay a fee for that token and it's not cheap. So it's tough because you're on the spot and you don't know. Like, I remember when I qualified for South Africa as well, I raced in Vietnam. I qualified in Vietnam and then they were like, yes or no. And I'm like, wow, South Africa. I guess yes, because it was my first World Championship as well. But yeah, you are right on the spot, and you have to decide on this investment for a race, for a trip. Anyways, go ahead, Tom. Just a little bit of education for the listeners.
No, that'd be very, very helpful for somebody who's never competed in any Ironman event.
Yeah.
So I already knew that it was South Africa. Okay, so I had my credit card ready and jumped on it. I said, sure. I had already been to South Africa visiting my son and his then girlfriend, now wife. And so I liked it. So I was interested in going back. And it turned out that so far has been the best location. It's beautiful.
Beautiful.
I'll encourage anybody, if you just want to go visit Port Elizabeth, it's just a gorgeous site. People were very friendly.
Very friendly, yeah.
Very, very well organized. And I met a lot of people. I really liked people who do Ironman events. And that's where I met this wonderful person, Juliana. And here we are. How many? And this 6 years later, 7 years later, we're still in touch.
We're still in touch. Yeah, I'm not going to let you go. I was like, I remember we met at the beach, maybe a day or two before the race. We were doing practice swim, which was a wake-up call for me because I never swam in such a cold waters. I think it was 12 C, the temperature. And I just remember everybody putting little neoprene shoes and neoprene caps and gloves. And I was like, I don't have any of this. But yeah, I got out of my practice swim and I saw you. We started chatting, and I was and still am in completely awe of you, because triathlon is not something easy in any distance. It's three sports, it's a lot of dedication. And yeah, and then when I started the podcast, I was like, I have to share Tom with the listeners, because I think you were a true statement of perseverance. I mean, I know for me, it's hard. The time commitment to train and just finishing each discipline, and it's different training for each discipline. And on the 70.3 distance, you're putting, it's about 2 kilometer swim, 90 kilometer on the bike. And after that, you have to run a half marathon. It's a lot. And you have to plan your nutrition and hydration through all that. Take me through your routine, training routine. What does that look like?
Well, when I went to the year before, training for the first one in Ecuador, and then training for South Africa, I did it all with a book. And
Incredible.
I gave that book away it was written by a woman. And
Okay.
I gave it away to somebody to help, and I can't remember who that person is, and I've never been able to find the book again.
Oh no.
'Cause it was very good. But anyway, that was just to give people a general sense. As you said, you're training for three disciplines, three sports. Uh, so that, and I had to mention one other thing. I could dedicate that time because I'm older. I don't have a family. I have my son has I've got two grandkids, but my time is mine. But I know couples in Ecuador who have kids, and they both of the couples train and compete in triathlons. That to me is just amazing, much more amazing than what I'm doing.
You're so
But
humble.
but the
But yeah, it's
other,
hard with a family and balance all.
wow,
Can imagine. Yeah. It's a lot.
because it takes it's not only the time, it's the energy,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah, you can go home and take a nap. They
that's
can't.
right. And I do. I take nap almost every day. I take a nap. Yeah, I love naps. Uh, so where were we? Get back to training.
Your training routine. Yeah.
Okay, well after that, I thought, okay, I'm going to keep doing this. I like it. I like the training. I like the experience of the competitions. So via it's a long story, but anyway, I got connected with at the time, pretty small training group, and they would assign a coach. And they had several coaches, and they would work with each coach would work with several different people. And this particular coach, I had met her previously as a yoga instructor.
Okay.
And so I already knew her, and she was good. She was good to work with. So I stayed with that, and I've stayed with that group. They changed. She quit to work on her own. And let me throw in a plug here for yoga. I was thinking about this the other day. I would encourage any endurance athlete, whether it's triathlon or biking or running or whatever, to start doing yoga. It's going to make you more flexible. It's going to make you more aware of your body and how to take care of it. And this one sounds strange, but it's going to teach you to relax. So when you're on the bike, I don't know, but let me ask you, when you're on the bike, Juliana, I'll be biking along, and then all of a sudden I go relax. So I relax my hands. I relax everything that I can, and then the bike, you can relax everything from the top of your head down to your waist. So I kind of go through this relaxation mental routine.
That's really good advice. I agree. And actually, I just told my husband last week that we should start doing yoga at least once a week. It'd be good for us as an activity together. I mean, not that we need more activities together because we're ready to cycle and live together, but I think it would be good for us as well, because yeah, it's wonderful for your joints and for flexibility, mobility. And you bring up a very good point, because it's something that I have to consciously tell myself. And a lot of times I forget on the bike to say, relax. Cause I sometimes I started to see pictures where my shoulders are all the way up, my face, like, cause I guess I'm all tense, and I have to like relax. You're absolutely right. Yeah. It's a very good tip.
Okay. That may be the only one I can give. But so I've been training with this group with a young man who was also he trains other people, of course. And he was a top notch swimmer in Ecuador also, and also runs and also does triathlons. So he understands. I think that might be another important tip is if you're looking for a coach, and I think you could probably coach yourself. There are so many books, there's so many videos out there, there's so many YouTubes. There's more than I don't even have an inkling of what's out there. But you could probably do it yourself. But a coach will keep you on track. And I think it's helpful that the coach, if we're talking triathlon, but whatever your sport is, I think it's important that coach also competes. So that's going to give them a different level of understanding and empathy, comprehension of what you're facing and what they can do for you.
Absolutely. It's the mindset as well. It's not just the knowledge of physiology and the training. I think the mindset is important as well.
So I kept doing them. I did 6 when I've done those 2 world champions. The second world champion was in Utah. And that was, wow, another spectacular setting.
Must be beautiful.
It's fabulous, but it's tough. It's got a lot of.
Where do you swim? Lake?
Yeah. It was, I think, a reservoir. So that was fine. But the bike was tough. And then the run, but you had to run twice on a course. And so the first time you're going up this very steep hill, down a very steep hill, which started bothering one of my knees. And then you got to go, oh no, I got to do this again.
Yeah, then it's in your mind.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and I just barely came in there's for another bit of information on the 70.3s and all triathlons. The Ironman, I'm guessing all, but definitely the Ironman. You have to come in under certain time limits. So if you don't get out of the swim under the time limit, they stop you. And the same thing for different points in the bike and the running. And so for the 70.3, the maximum time, if you come in, the maximum time is 8.5 hours. My daughter-in-law goes, 8.5 hours? That's a full work day. You're out there doing that?
Yeah.
So there's a sense of craziness about this, yes. But I came in at 8 hours and 15 minutes. So
Perfect. 50 minutes to spare.
that's right. And then it's always in the back of your mind. I should say it's always. Then it starts going, wow, if I could do a 70.3, a half Ironman, maybe I could, maybe I should try the full. And Juliana just gave us the distances. Well, you just double those distances. And you end, just to give you a sense, you end with a marathon, running a marathon.
It's a huge, huge challenge. Yeah, you have the swim and the bike, and then you have to run a marathon. And the bike, it's almost, it's 180 kilometers, then 42 kilometers run. So then after the 2 world championships, you decided to take on the new challenge, a full Ironman distance.
Yes.
And what were the specific challenges you faced in the training and the race for that?
The training just became more intense. more longer distances, more, let's say, swimming would include more muscle building, but so strengthening plus, and I'll let you know more about this than I do. And then your VO2 max. So you're working on the ability of your body to produce oxygen. But I'll you know more about that than I do. So she
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I do more. If I know more.
So you're getting your body in even better shape. Put up with the
Incredible.
distances. And so swimming, just to give you an example, I'm relaxing right now. I'm gonna do the end of last weekend in April. Do what's the second? It's the Olympic distance.
Oh, nice.
And so the swims are maybe, just to give you a sense, 1,500 meters, 1,800, 2,000. Well, they got up to 4,000
Wow.
on
Yeah.
training for the Ironman.
The full. Yeah.
And you would do bicycle rides. Right now, I'm riding mostly inside. I don't know. I'm sure your cyclists know all about this.
Yeah.
Riding inside. I don't have a fancy machine. I just mount my bike on a roller and off I go. And then would we take long rides? So the rides I rode, and these are just keeping a good pace, not race pace necessarily. And so, but I would ride sometimes 6 hours,
Wow.
and that's just getting you ready to ride. We have to back up again. We have to remind us what happens when you get old.
Tell us.
And you get slower.
Yeah.
I mean, want to or not. So, uh,
You get slower, but your body is doing amazing things. I mean, it's incredible. You're 78 and you are swimming, biking, and running crazy distances.
it is crazy. I get that
Yeah.
frequently. You said, "What? What? Why are you doing this?"
You mentioned your daughter-in-law. Does your family? I mean, I'm sure they're super proud of you, but they probably think you're a little bit nutty.
A little, yeah. My son has come to accept it. The first couple of times, he says, "Why are you doing this?" He said, "Isn't this a little crazy?" I said, "Yeah, it's probably." Just probably, I don't know what psychologists think about endurance athletes.
That's a good question. I should have someone here to tell us.
Okay, all right. Let me know. I'd like to listen to that one.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I suspect that we're a little bit. What's the term where you tend to really focus on something and just to an extreme. There's a psychological
Okay, I
state
don't know.
there. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's find out.
I don't know if it's OCD or laser focus. I don't know. It's the
I think
expression.
I think what my son uses is OCD.
OCD. Yeah. Obsessive compulsive disorder. Yeah. It's a good one to have. It's a healthy one.
Oh, good.
I think that's just my opinion, not an expert.
Well, between us, let's just call it OC and take away the disorder at the end.
I like that. We're all C's.
So,
and what motivates you to keep pushing those boundaries and competing in this crazy event?
I like seeing, part of it seeing what my body can do. I think I've always been interested. Like I say, I've been doing yoga maybe for 20 years now. I I did something else once from a book called, what is it? I just forgot the term again, but it's psychic something or other. The series of exercise by a man named Chilean, Oscar. Boy, I'm really senior moment here. Oscar,
I have those all the time.
Oscar Ichazo.
Okay. I will look him up and put him on the description because I think everybody will be Googling.
Okay.
Yeah. To
It's
know your
very,
secrets, Tom.
it's very interesting. I did this. I started this years ago. I mean, 70, mid 70s, and it's very interesting. Psycho calisthenics.
Oh, okay. I know calisthenics. I didn't know about psycho-calisthenics. I have to look it up.
And so anyway, so I've just looking back on things, I see that okay, I was always interested in things that what can the body do, and just being amazed at some of these things people do that are these extreme endurance events that I still call those crazy. But so that's one motivation. Let's just see if we can do it. The other is I just enjoy what both physically and mentally / emotionally what it does for me. And if I don't do it, I don't get depressed, but just not feeling as good. Like I said about swimming is guaranteed. I don't care. Sometimes I have to drag myself out, force myself to get into the pool. But I know I'll say to myself one time, okay, you're going to feel better. So let's do it. And then competition, I still like to compete, but it's more, as you've read, and maybe you've had other people on, it's with yourself more than against somebody else, especially in those endurance events. You never know where you are anyway. You never know.
That's true.
I mean, even in the age group I'm in, which is currently, what is it, 75 to 79, there's in the States, there's usually 5 or 6 of us, but you never see any, never know where you are in relation to them. So you're just dealing with yourself mostly.
Yeah, I remember when I was racing triathlons. I mean, it's hard to compare your time to different races because every race is a different course, but it still feels so good when you have your personal best. Even if it's a minute, it's always a victory, especially for me on the swim because I'm not a swimmer. So any second that I could cut off there, I was so proud of myself. And I completely agree with the motivation on the wellness and the mental health. I have the same pep talk like even when I don't feel like doing my train, I'm like, okay, just do it. You feel great afterwards. And yeah, it's not like I feel worse if I don't, but it's just such a feel good feeling, taking care of yourself and just have those happy hormones rushing. Yeah.
Happy. I like that term, happy hormone.
Happy hormones.
And the other one is one of the reasons I like triathlon, let's say, rather than just swimming, just running, which I've done, did for years, is that those three different disciplines, I guess you call them, sports, work different parts of your body. And although there's a time when I wasn't able to swim, just for a very minor skin operation, and I couldn't swim for about 2 months.
Wow.
Just biking and running.
Just quote unquote.
Well, what happens is my body gets stiff. And so there's the benefit. I mean, you can imagine, it's not that hard to imagine. When you're sitting on a bike, the only thing really that's working is from your waist down.
Yeah.
A little bit in your back if you're bent over, racing.
Yeah, especially on triathlons. It's not like mountain biking or gravel. Triathlon, you are really locked in on a TT position most of the time.
Yeah,
You
that's
use,
a good
like I
point.
said, a little bit of core and back, but that's it.
Yeah, no, that's right. And then running, you're working a little more of your body, depending on how you run. Then swimming works your whole body.
Yeah.
And I found that after you start getting stiff, and then it's that day that you swim, helps loosen you up. So combining the three, I like that aspect of it too.
Yeah, in the swim, there's really no wear and tear. There's no impact. So if you're not pushing, you can, if you're just doing a few good laps, it's always worth it. Yeah. In the swim, it's something you can do for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really good.
I hope to.
Yeah. And nutrition is super important. Like you said, your first marathon, when you did the New York Marathon, you spent like a day in bed because you didn't plan it right, the nutrition and hydration. How are you doing now? How are you planning? How are you doing? What's part of your routine on your nutrition?
During the race or all
in
the
general,
time?
everything, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's one thing I became aware of when I was when I was young, when I was only, how old was I? My 30s. And for whatever strange reason, got interested in diet. Not diet just we think of, they say, oh, you got a diet to lose weight. No, just diet as what you're eating.
Right.
And I started moving towards vegetarianism. Never got there because but I'd stopped eating beef and pork. And I'm not going to throw this out as a recommendation. It's not necessarily gonna. That's not something that everybody should do, but I did, and haven't eaten, as I say, haven't eaten pigs or cows for maybe 40 years. So I just stopped, and then I just became more aware of what foods are good for you, what foods do you need, and then those you can find again so much information out there. And then make decisions on your own. But there are some real basic diets that you can eat, and then you can eat more because you're burning a lot more than the average person. So keep the carbs. Eating carbs is not a bad thing.
No, eat carbs. Yeah, it's one of my biggest things with people. I do nutrition coaching, and yeah, so I always say, don't be afraid of carbs. Eat your carbs. It's so important, especially if you're active. But even if you're not active, it is one of your macronutrients. Eat good carbs, obviously. Complex carbs are the best. But if you're training, simple carbs are the best because it's quicker. So it hits your system quicker for energy. But anything specific that you have done on your on your nutrition that you changed once you started being more into competing and triathlons?
I focus more on protein, and that's in my case what they call white meat. So I have just happened to like. I know not everybody does. Just I've only found one thing that comes out of the sea that I don't like. Everything else I do, and then chicken and turkey. What they call white meat.
Okay.
And that meant but also, like I say, moving towards and certainly working with to a certain extent vegetarianism. Then I met just another anecdote. I was in Ecuador. This was for my first and only century ride on the bike. I figured I just need to do this. I just have to get this one done.
Cross off your list.
Yes. And here was this guy. He was from Peru, and he had a shirt that said, I think in Spanish, but it was something vegan athlete. So I stopped and talked to him for a while, and I said, "How do you do this?" He just said, "You just have to be careful." He said, "But it can be done." So if there are vegans out there, I'm sure, but you as a nutritionist, I didn't realize you were a nutritionist also. I may come to you ask for some advice.
Would love to help. Yeah.
Oh.
No, yeah, you can do it in being a vegan. I talked to George Sales. He's an ultra cyclist, and he just did a grueling race of 1,300 kilometers, all on the vegan. And he's been vegan for 10 years, I think. And there's so many, weightlifters, so many other athletes being vegan. You just need to know what you're eating, because there is a lot of protein that doesn't need to come from an animal source. But most vegetables, beans, legumes, this type of stuff, a lot of it's not complete protein. So you just need to know. So you eat everything's complementary. But yeah, you can do it on the vegan as well.
So I play around with that to a certain extent. And living in Ecuador in the Andean region, that's the home of quinoa. Okay. That's the most, it's not the only, but You could fill us in on more about that, but it's a seed and a total.
Yeah, it's a great source of protein. Great source of protein. I have it a lot. Yeah. As for carbs, I love quinoa, sweet potatoes. I do a lot of those too. A lot.
So I guess you're open to write-in questions about nutrition then?
Of course. You have my
Well,
WhatsApp. You have a direct line, so.
Well, there you go. I mean, any of your listeners now, any podcast listeners. So that's what, and then in the racing, I use what everybody else does. I have different sources of, you don't buy, all right, this is an interesting thing. Let me ask you, what I understand while you're racing in an endurance event, you're not that concerned about consuming protein.
No.
It's more carbs. And the different nutrients, the different minerals that you need, that you're consuming.
Yeah, I think for triathlons, because it's a day event, from a sprint to a full distance, it's a day event, from 1 hour to 17 hours. You need energy and you need electrolytes because you're sweating out all your minerals and salts. So it's super important to stay hydrated and properly hydrated. It's not just water. You need electrolytes to replenish everything that you're losing, and you need the carbs, easy carbs. So that's why people also have gel, because usually it's a combination of fructose and glucose. Glucose goes straight into your system. Fructose has to go through your liver, so it takes a little bit more. So that's why it has the combination. So you don't really have a crash. Yeah. I mean, if we're talking endurance cycling, that people are on the bike for 2-3 days or more, then obviously you do need some protein because you're sleeping. You need more, you need to think more about recovery. But for those days events, few hours event, then you're just thinking about electrolytes and carbs.
So I really have to think about drinking. I don't get that thirsty, but I force myself to drink, like you say, water with some electrolyte powder solution. And so that's what I still have to work on. And then I take different gels, and I won't do any advertising, but there's one I particularly like, but there's
you can
everybody.
Say it. Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I'll get a payment here.
Yeah, you should be sponsored. I mean, you were amazing.
This is one called Maurten. You know that one?
Oh, yeah.
It's got
it's a little bit gelatin, right? The gels, yeah.
Some people don't like that. But,
yeah, you have to have, you need to like the texture.
Yeah. But the flavors, the others are very strong flavors. This has a very subtle flavor. So anyway, you take one of those, you obviously can't take anything in the swim. So you want to maybe squeeze a tube or what do you call it? The gel packet before you take the swim. Have a good breakfast, with enough time for that to digest. Then you get on the bike, and the bike is where that's where you're going to fuel yourself. That's where you're going to be taking the packets of gel and water and whatever liquid that you're drinking.
Yeah.
Because when you're running, you can gel. That's no problem. But drinking water is difficult.
Yeah. And it's more, I guess, because what's the word I'm looking for? I mean, of course, the bike, you're also moving, but I think the running, it's even more movement with the entire body. So you have to really be careful not to have stomach issues.
Yeah. And it's just harder. I mean, you have to stop to drink.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you watch these really fast people coming through on the bikes and running, and they just grab water that these
the feed stations. Yeah.
And take a swallow and throw it away. And, I don't know how they do that. I need more, but
yeah, everyone has their different strategies. So I think you have to find your own. And what would you have a piece of advice for anyone who would like to be more athletic, but feels I'm too old to start something new?
Well, as I said, I did the first half when I was 70, but I had been doing something either, like I say, swimming most of my life, just not always training, but, and then started running and after that one not so good marathon experience, but started running again in Ecuador. And maybe that would be one bit of advice. Uh, it may sound kind of wimpy, but it's, I'm doing it right now for training, is combining running and walking. And
I
so,
hear more and more about this.
so it's a training technique I'm using right
Yeah.
now that the coaches just, like this morning, I ran this morning. So it was a little over an hour. And so it would start walking I'm just going to throw this out. This is just an example. But walk at a fast pace for 10 minutes.
Mhm.
Then I ran for 10 minutes and then walked again really fast for 5. And then it was 10 run. They dropped it down to 4. And then 10 run, dropped it down to 3. But you could start out. And that's what I did in Ecuador when I started running again. I would run maybe 5 minutes. And we're not talking full speed running. We're talking jogging and then walk. And so it's easier on your body can adapt more in terms of endurance,
Yeah.
just oxygen. Like I say, it was in Ecuador also. So we're extreme high altitude training. But anyway, the idea
That's a
was
good
just,
advantage for you, maybe when you go train somewhere else that it's at sea level, you're
well,
cruising.
it works for a while. It doesn't last very long. I don't know. There's high altitude training centers in Boulder, Colorado, for example. You may have talked to somebody who trains there.
Not
And
yet.
then, and then they have to move. They go or if soccer players, football, they train at altitude, but then when they get there, it only lasts a few days. So anyway, it's not that helpful. All right, if you're operating at a really peak level, extremely competitive, top notch, then it probably makes a difference. But anyway, that would be my suggestion. Find If you're going to spend money on something, spend it on really good shoes. The rest of
That's true.
running, the rest of running really doesn't matter. You can wear whatever, but
Yeah.
you want the best pair of shoes, the ones that fit you. That are there's some that are if you feel like starting running, there are some shoes that are built for they have more cushioning. So do some research. Either talk to somebody who knows, and there's so much information out there.
That's true.
If you're starting swimming, take lessons the first time you go. Don't hesitate. Swimming is I've read this a couple of different places. It's 80% technique.
Yeah.
And I even retrained myself at one point. And then biking, you can tell us more about that, Juliana. You don't need a $10,000 bike to
That's
start with.
true.
Okay. There's lots of bikes out there, depending on what you want to do. And if you want to, if it's road bike, that's probably the easiest to start with. I haven't done any mountain bike or gravel and certainly not raced in either of those. So I can't say much about it, but, there's a lot of used bikes out there and bikes don't get that used. There's only a few things you have to pay attention to. So I don't know. What else would you add about biking, Juliana?
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you said. I think it's good to have a starting point. Don't go for the most expensive one unless you're really committed. Though the very expensive ones might be, I don't know if it might be easier, but it holds a little bit more value and you can resell it. But yeah, you don't need anything expensive to get started. The important thing is just to get on the saddle and be out there.
And it's easier for your body. The worst thing, the hardest thing on your body and to get your body used to it is running,
Yeah.
without a doubt. This town I live in Florida, there's lots of people my age, I see people, you can tell that they're older, riding bikes. They're just gentle bikes. And if you want to, I know a place here where you can buy bikes for just a couple $100. Uh, if
Absolutely.
you if you just want to take it, I'm not sure. I don't know if I'm really going to like this.
You can also rent one like you did.
Yeah,
I mean, you did so many races renting a bike. You don't need to commit to buying one. You can rent and see how you like it.
yeah. So, but it's what is it? One of the companies that makes equipment for you. They just their slogan is "Just do it."
Oh yeah,
Uh,
Nike.
Nike. Okay, that's a
Yeah.
good slogan.
Yeah, just do it. Exactly. Yeah.
And if you need encouragement, there's all sorts of groups out there. Also, there's a group here in St. Pete that rides bikes on Saturdays, and they ride in different categories, different how fast they think they can ride. But I suspect not much bike riding in the north right now. Wait till the weather warms up. But you could start
Yeah.
swimming.
But that's good advice. I think looking for people in the community, I think those groups are a great support. I know it was a great support for me when I first started. I joined a women's group and it was wonderful. I learned so much with them and also the accountability, the coach or a
Yeah.
group. You have to be somewhere at certain time to meet everybody. They're waiting for you. So it pushes you, gets you out of bed. And there's a lot of different groups, groups by age, groups by gender. And it's great to enjoy one of them. I mean, enjoy, no, join, join one of them. Enjoy as well.
Enjoy. So that's, yeah, I would say that's, it depends on what kind of, some people prefer being by themselves,
Yeah.
but so it can turn into a social event, which is very good also.
Yeah.
So that's about all I would say. And just start slow. Don't, this is kind of tricky, especially for anybody, men or women who were athletes when they were younger. That could be high school or
That's true.
college or even later in life. And then they go out and they want to get back up to that same speed or distance
Yeah.
and they mess up something and you hurt something.
Yeah.
But you
It's
can get
important to
through.
start slow.
Yeah. And then you're gonna I guess one other thing is, and this is kind of tricky, but maybe your experience also. Yeah, I'm sure I think you mentioned once this is working through damage, whether it's a strain, whether it's a pull, whether it's a twist, it's going to happen. I can
Yeah.
almost I can almost guarantee it because you're going to start pushing it a little bit, or maybe for whatever reason, you trip, whatever, and then you got to really back off.
Yeah. I think recovery, taking the time to heal, it's super important. Don't rush back ever. That's my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah. No, I would say the
Yeah.
same thing.
And Tom, what does the future hold for you? What's next?
Well, we didn't get very far on the full Ironman. So
Yeah.
I won't get into details, but so I said, okay, I'm going to try it. So this was in, what year was this? We're 25 now, maybe 2022. And there was this brother-in-law who doesn't race much anymore. Doesn't, he's kind of back off, but he lives in Arizona. And there was a full Ironman in northern Arizona, outside of Phoenix. So Bill, the brother-in-law, said, "Well, come stay with us a few days. I'll take you up there and stay with you, be your backup." I said, "Whoa, all right,
That's
I'll
a
do
nice
it."
offer.
It's a wonderful offer, and but not to get into details, but that it was swimming in a reservoir, and here it is in November, but in let's just say Phoenix, which gets up to like 110 during the summer. but the water in that reservoir was so cold. It was. I still work more with Fahrenheit than
It's okay. We can do Fahrenheit.
centigrade, but it was 1 degree. There. Another thing about Ironman for you, then the wetsuits, and wetsuits are an advantage. They not only keep you
Yeah, for
warm,
the buoyance.
and so most people, I would say maybe everybody, with a wetsuit on, you're faster. So they don't allow wetsuits. They have different temperature ratings, different temperature controls.
Right. Depending on the water temperature, it's wetsuit legal. Otherwise, it's not, and you cannot wear a wetsuit.
And then, but there's another one at the bottom end, at the cold end. They have one when it's so cold, and that's 60 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is, centigrade.
I don't know, maybe 12 or 13 Celsius, I think.
It's, well, anyway, if it's 60 degrees, you have to wear a wetsuit.
Right, mandatory. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's about 15 or 14 Celsius. It's mandatory. Yeah.
Well, this was 61 degrees. That's how
Okay.
cold, or 1 degree above the mandatory.
Oh no.
And I'm thin, and us thin people have a disadvantage. We have an advantage hiking and running, but not.
Not in the swim. Mm-mm. No
So
buoyance
anyway,
at all.
well, there's that plus the cold.
Yeah.
Well, I swam, and it was just that towards the end, it's, let's see, it's 1.83.
I think it's almost 4. I think it's 3.8
Yeah.
kilometer swim. Yeah.
I was really ready to get out of that water. And it was so cold, it was messing up my head.
I've been there.
Yeah? Okay. So
South Africa, I think was 13 degrees Celsius. Yeah, as soon as I got in, boom, immediate headache.
I did okay there, but
You kicked ass.
Yeah.
Yeah. The World Championship, it's separate. The women go Saturday and the men go Sunday. So I was able to cheer for you on Sunday. It was very nice.
That's the only time I've had a cheerleader out there for me, ringing a bell even.
Yeah.
But I was so cold. I got out of we went up a ramp, and then the health team there. I mean, I felt bad. I didn't feel quite right, but they must have seen something else in my. So they plopped me in a wheelchair.
Wow.
Wrapped me with blankets and ran me into the heat up tent.
Okay.
That was the end of the race.
No. Aw.
I guess I could have.
Well, but it's if you needed to be stopped, that health comes first.
Yeah, and I don't know what they saw. I didn't ask them later because maybe they took my temperature. I don't even remember. So anyway, that was the end of that one. So I said, okay, let's try it again. So the second one was in a place in Florida.
Warmer.
And Panama, yeah. Same time of the year. I think it was also November. In Panama City, which is out in the panhandle of Florida. Swim went well, but in the bike started messing up. It's kind of hard to describe. It was like it wouldn't stay straight. I had to lean into it to keep it going straight.
How odd. Did you pack it and when you were putting it together or a mechanic putting it together, something went wrong?
Well, I'll tell you what in the end, what we figured out.
Okay.
I think. But I got to about mile 90 of, what is it in miles? It's 180.
That's about 120 kilometers.
It's 180 kilometers. So it's
the total. Yeah.
It's a little over 100, 110 or something like miles.
Yeah.
So I was about mile 90, and I just couldn't do it anymore. It was just too much of a struggle on the bike. I get back in St. Pete to the bike shop I go to, and they said, "Well, look at this." And I had one of those seats that they're split.
Yep.
Out at the beginning, where it's center, where they're split. One of those splits was maybe a centimeter lower than the other side.
Oh, your saddle. So that's why you probably, when you're pushing, the balance was off.
But such a tiny thing. Well, this is another thing about. So here's another tip about not just the bike, but you're going to be. I was out there at that time, maybe maybe 5 hours, no, pushing 8 hours. No, anyway, a long time. And if you have anything like a little tiny pebble in your shoe, it doesn't bother you for a couple of miles, but for a couple of hours, yes, you're going to be in trouble. So you have to make sure everything is just right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So
So
that was number two. That was the second attempt.
attempt number two. Yeah.
And so then I thought, okay, let's try one more. Like there's a saying both in English and Spanish about, the third times in
Is the
English
charm.
is a charm.
And you have so determined.
Right? I got to do
Yeah.
it. I mean, and this one it had a big advantage. It's in Maryland.
Okay.
And we're swimming at a little arm of the Chesapeake Bay. And my son lives in DC. So he was going to accompany me. These all become long stories, so I won't tell all of them.
It's
He
okay.
couldn't
I love a
accompany
long
me.
story.
Oh, okay. His wife was quite pregnant. They now have a 5-month-old baby boy.
Oh,
Uh,
congrats.
Grandchild number two. And so quite pregnant. And so he had to stay with her because could be birthing any minute. So I have a niece who lives nearby. So I was able to convince her to come accompany me. In Florida, a friend accompanied me because you said maybe there's a big tip that that most people wouldn't even, that of course they think about. They wouldn't even think otherwise to have a backup, have a support team
It's good to have someone. Absolutely.
because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Especially as you mentioned earlier, they're always at different places. You never know what's going to happen. Could be storms, could be just the bike, etc.
Yeah.
So the swim was just fabulous. I had never felt better. And I get on the bike. The bike was okay. I was 8 hours on the bike. I go quite slow and start running. And you have to run through these almost a block long of water. It's from the high tide.
Really?
So there were 4 places where you're running through water that it's deep enough that it's hard to run. You're just kind of
That's
walking.
insane.
Yeah.
They
So
didn't change the course, nothing?
and it's not the first time that's happened. I found out
Gosh.
later. So I then it was three times around this circuit of running. The bike was just once. Bike was nice. It's out on going through these marshes.
That helps.
And then you get what I talked earlier about cutoff points. Well, I'm coming in the third, finished the second circuit, second time around. And they said, yep, that's it. That's all for you. Your cutoff
Oh,
time.
no.
So I had been out there 15 hours
Oh, my God.
and the max time is 17. And they just said, the pace you're going, the distance left, you're not going to make it. And they won't let you. So
That's a bummer. I've been to some triathlons that they let you finish. They won't give you a medal, but they let you finish. Wow.
well, I like
What a
that.
bummer.
I think they should do that. I think they should.
Yeah, because, at least you are already out there, and it's just a few hours more, maybe minutes for you to finish. Why not? Well, but in the positive side, you conquered. You first time swim, you stopped, and then second time you made it through the bike. Unfortunately, you had a mechanical, and then third time you were so short to finish.
Yeah.
So is there going to be a fourth time? Is the fourth time going to be the charm?
Oh, I don't know. That's where I am right now, Juliana. I'm just haven't decided. I haven't decided if do I want to dedicate that much time and effort to do this again, and how do I find this magic place that everything's just because you don't know. You don't even in Florida. I'm thinking about Florida. If I did it, I would maybe do Florida because it's close. But this friend I mentioned who has helped me train, who is a yoga instructor, she did it there. She's a very good triathlete.
Oh, wait, I met her. Gabrielle?
Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah, because she was on the World Championship in Nice.
I didn't know
Yeah,
you
you
ever
sent
got.
a
I didn't know you were
present.
again.
Yeah, we met. We met. Okay, now I know. Now it's clicking.
Okay, I didn't know you ever got together.
Yeah, I think very quickly, you know how it is, all the preparation and race and everything. But we did meet quickly because you sent a gift, lovely thought from you through her. So she met to deliver it to me. Yeah.
Good. Well, then you know her. She's good.
Yeah.
Very good. And she did Florida. It's
Okay.
Panama City, and there was a storm, windy. The water was cold, but then wind with the bike, which is can be just it's the worst thing. I mean, it almost stops you sometimes, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And but she finished, did okay. So you just don't know. So
Yeah. You
anyway, that
never
would
know.
that would be if I do it. Then the other part of my brain says, wait a minute, wait a minute. There's a lot more to life.
But then what would you do? Would you go back to 70.3 or you're finally going to join me on an ultra cycling race?
Ultra cycling sounds more interesting. That sounds.
I'm waiting for you. You just tell me when you're ready.
I'm 78 now. Here's another thing about Ironman. But if I were to race this year, which I'm not, I'm going to do the short one here where I live. But at Ironman age, I'm 79 at Ironman age. So if I were to race this year in 2025, they would call me 79. Okay, so if I race next year, 2026,
You're on the next age group,
I would be the
80
young
to 84, 85. Yeah.
84. Yeah. So I would be the youngster.
I remember those days when you change age groups and you're the younger on your age group. It's awesome.
Because isn't it interesting? This is another very interesting thing about our bodies, Juliana, that how age makes that big a difference. I mean, somebody came up with these age groups. I don't know how they did it. I would hope that they somehow found data on top athletes and say, okay, this person did this time at 26.
Right. Then combine the groups more closely together on how they perform, maybe.
But I can see it when I look at times, because you can go back, they control the times very well, and you can have access to this, and you can see the difference. And when, like you just said, when you're the younger, if you're coming in, so it's 50 to 54. When you're 50, it gives you an advantage of somebody who's only 4 years older. So it's amazing how much difference that makes. That still astounds me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so this year you're racing locally, and I think it would be an amazing birthday present from you to do the full and complete the full distance on your 80th.
Well, thanks for the encouragement. It's still a possibility.
Well, keep me updated.
All right. And what's your next?
My next is Gravel Birds in Portugal. It's 750 kilometers gravel. And I'm so excited. So excited. I'm doing it with a friend. We are going to race as a pair. And you have 120 hours to finish, which is plenty of time. And we want to take our time. We are doing it really to enjoy ourselves and have an adventure together. So we plan to sleep. I mean, it's still a challenge because to finish, you still have to do 150 150, 170 a day kilometers.
Well,
But it'll be fun. Yeah, that will be in May. So I'm excited about it.
great.
Yeah.
In May, we'll have fun.
Yeah.
Enjoy
Coming up
yourself.
soon. Yeah. Thank you. Tom, I had such a good time catching up with you. Your insights, your story is so inspiring. And I really hope you go for the full or join me for ultra cycling and I can have you back on the podcast. We'll keep in touch offline anyways. Thank you so much.
Let me add one more line.
Please.
When I was in Ecuador, I think one of those 70.3s, it was a young guy, I mean, really young, probably in his 20s. And he comes over with just this big smile on his face. He says, how do you do it? What's your secret? I said, just keep going. Don't stop. So maybe for all of the people, or maybe the other would be get started, but once you started, don't stop. Okay?
Wise words. Wise words. And do yoga.
Yes. Wonderful to see you. Wonderful. Thank you.
Likewise. Wonderful. And that's all for today's episode. I want to thank the listeners for tuning in. Your support means everything. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider following, leaving a review, and sharing it with your friends.